So what's on tap for this today, folks? It's another reaction video, and this time it's one of our favorite senators grilling and questioning Senator Jennifer Granholm, the Secretary of Energy, on the idiocy of the Biden energy and the Biden administration's energy policies, and his Senator John Kennedy. So we're going to get to that in just the next few seconds. But if this is the first time you've tuned in, you're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. I'm your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. We'd love you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. And let's get to Senator Kennedy grilling Jennifer Granholm.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry I was late. I was in another committee. Welcome, Madam Secretary. Thank you. I've still got a lot of work to do on your proposed budget, but I just wanted to offer a few top-line comments.
I love the way Senator Kennedy talks. It's like watching Peter Falk, Columbo. It's like you don't expect this, coming from this gentleman. He's just so, that Southern drawl. Oh, he's from Louisiana. Just that Southern drawl. And he's just sort of like, the professorial. And I don't think anything's, he's not going to hit me with anything hard. Come on, okay? This guy, he's just he's a pussycat. He's not going to do anything. But boy, oh boy, when Kennedy gets you in his grip, look out, folks. Anyways, let's continue.
After 15 months, I think any fair-minded person who's paid attention would have a general idea of the principles of the Biden administration.
The key being fair-minded.
And it seems to me that the Biden administration believes in bigger government. It believes in higher taxes. It believes in more regulation.
Check again.
It believes in more debt. Based on the president's proposed budget, it believes in a weaker military. Not by its words, but by its actions. I think it believes in higher energy prices. I think that the Biden administration hates fossil fuels.
Absolutely.
On which, at the moment, the greatest economy in all of human history depends.
1,000%.
I think the Biden administration thinks that's a mistake.
They certainly do.
And I think the Biden administration thinks that higher energy prices will somehow wean the American people off of fossil fuels.
That's their thinking.
The attitude seems to be, not in words, but in deed, that we can see the future better than the American people because we're experts.
They're retards.
And the American people just need to take their medicine with these higher energy prices, and in the long run, they'll be better off because we'll use them to get rid of fossil fuels. Now, let me talk about your budget. It's not going to pass in its current form. I think you know that. I support wind and power, but I'm an all of the above energy type guy. I think eventually we should, and I don't mean sometime in the next century, we should realistically ask ourselves, when are wind and power going to be able to stand on their own feet without subsidies?
That's the question we keep asking. Are we, look, first world countries, great powers like us, the number one power in the entire world, the United States of America, all right? If somebody said, cut down, we've already cut down our electrical things. We've already cut down our energy. We've already seen that thing happen, being decimated day after day after day by this administration, the Biden administration, the Brandon administration. We've seen that happening. But what about third world countries and other world countries coming up after that? You think these guys want to go into into solar and wind and geothermal and nuclear? They don't have that capability. The pricing is not even going to work. It's overpriced and outpriced even here in America. It's not feasible yet. It's not for the common person, for the average American. It's not there yet price-wise. All right? We all know that. And we're going to try to shove this down the Americans' throats, and we're going to try to shove it down the rest of the world's throats as well. It's not going to work, folks. We know that.
I also believe in nuclear power.
Yes.
I can tell from your budget that at least some of your woke colleagues at the department don't. I also believe in hydroelectric power. I believe in hydrogen. I said it, but I'm going to say it again. I believe in nuclear. And I think you should ignore the woke voices. I think it's clean energy, and the new technology with these small modular nuclear reactors has great potential. You shortchanged them in your proposed budget. That tells me a lot. But I also believe in fossil fuels. And I think it's wholly unrealistic, certainly now, certainly for the foreseeable future, and maybe forever, to think that this world can run without fossil fuels. I'm very disappointed in your budget at its lack of emphasis on geoengineering. I know your woke colleagues don't like geoengineering because they think it takes our eye off the ball of climate change. But I think that's a mistake. I think climate change is real. But I think it will be solved or lessened by American ingenuity. It won't be done by the federal government. I'm also disappointed in the fact that the department, and that's why I say it's clear to me the Biden administration believes in a weaker military. Your decision not to fund one of the major weapons that the United States has at a time when our security is clearly threatened. Now, I've given you a mouthful. It is good to see you, Madam Chair. I am sorry I'm late. Please don't construe it as a sign of disrespect. I'd like to hear what you have to say.
I absolutely love John Kennedy. It's like getting hit with a velvet glove, a velvet feather. You know what I'm talking about? Over and over again. I mean, he's just so gentlemanly about his mannerisms, about the way he talks, about the way he expresses himself with civility, with decency. But there are powerful words that he speaks, and he says it in a way that really has credibility, pizzazz, behind it, even though it's in that beautiful Southern slow drawl. I love it, folks. I love it. And then he's even apologizing for his lateness. He is a class act. Let's continue with her response.
Great. Thank you. Let me focus on a couple of things I think we can agree on. One is the importance of nuclear power and how it is an essential part of our clean baseload power, and we ought to be keeping the existing fleet afloat, and we just issued $6 billion in civilian nuclear credits to be able to do that, and to hopefully have as many of them stay operating as possible. But we've also got a $2.5 billion commitment in advanced nuclear reactors as part of the bipartisan infrastructure law column of our budget. That's number one. So we agree on that, and we want to continue funding the advanced nuclear reactors. Number two.
But like $6 or $7 or $8 billion, that's a freaking drop in the freaking bucket, folks. We've got a $1 trillion economy. Trillions of dollars are being spent every freaking year now. We spend on tons of stuff. And they're talking about $6 or $8 billion for nuclear. That's got to be okay higher. Let's talk about 60 to 80 to 100 billion. Let's talk even more for nuclear.
We agree on hydroelectric power, and we want to see more dams, and we want to make sure that we are taking advantage of a form of energy that is clean, dispatchable, baseload power. I would also throw geothermal in there in that same sort of category. With respect to wind and solar, your question about when they become essentially reliable baseload power is all contingent upon making sure that technology of batteries becomes cheaper. We have a goal, earth shot, of getting down the price of long duration storage by 90%. And when we get down the price of long duration storage, essentially wind and power become clean, dispatchable baseload power. Here's where we don't agree. This administration believes in the importance of decarbonizing the fossil fuel industry. We know that we've gotten here for the past 120 years based upon fossil fuels. We acknowledge that. And we also know that technology for the next 100 years can power us going forward. Decarbonizing is really important. So we agree on hydrogen, for example, and that bipartisan infrastructure law invests $9 billion in hydrogen hubs. And I think one of them that's going to vie for it is in your region. Mm-hmm. But we make sure that we can decarbonize natural gas, for example, and couple it with carbon capture and sequestration. We're also big believers in the technology associated with direct air capture and other carbon dioxide removal strategies. That's another $3.5 billion in the budget.
Do you mind if I stop you and ask you a question about LNG? I saw the president's statement. I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. President, about a month ago, maybe a few weeks ago, time runs together, said, I want to expand LNG exports. But then I looked at the fine print of his statement. He said, but I want the plants that produce the LNG to be powered only with clean energy.
Idiot.
And then he said, but I am not going to change the regulatory environment for oil and gas. And shortly after that, he came out with new proposed rules for NEPA that will make it impossible to build a pipeline. Don't you think that's misleading?
Actually, it's not misleading. It's just a senile, dementiated, and I use the word dementiated, a senile, dementiated old fool who happens to be the President of the United States, just being a simpleton, a moron, and a retard with exactly that statement that Senator Kennedy said. Oh, I want to be for liquid, for natural gas, liquefied natural gas. I want to be for all that. But at the same time, you write the regulations that you can't build a plant, you can't build the pipelines to do what you're trying to do in terms of trying to, send it out, to export it. How are you going to get it from one area to the next if you can't build the pipelines? These guys in the administration and President Biden, these are just what I call simmers. Stupid, idiotic, moronic retards.
I'm not sure exactly what statement you're referring to, but he did go to Europe and said that we will provide another 15 billion cubic meters per year. We will increase our partnership with them So as a result, the Department of Energy has permitted 4 additional LNG terminals, allowing their volumes to go to non-free trade agreement countries in a way to fulfill that. The Department of Energy and the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission have both permitted another 30 billion cubic feet of export.
But don't you realize the impact that the proposed changes in NEPA are going to have on the oil and gas industry?
The proposed changes in NEPA are to make sure I'm not in the EPA. It's not my.
I know, but it's sure going to impact you.
The intent there is to continue to use technology to clean up fossil fuel emissions like methane. And so making sure that we've got facilities that are not contributing to the problem, but that are using technology, which they are excited to do. I mean, many in the natural gas world really do want to be able to deploy the technology that button down pipelines and make sure that they aren't contributing further to methane leakage.
But we tried to make NEPA a little more palatable, not get rid of it. Just say you've got to give us a decision in a couple of years. In the infrastructure bill, which the president is very proud of, and he has talked about it and taken for credit for it. That's not a pejorative statement. Every chance he's got. But then you turn right around and undo everything that was done in the infrastructure bill with these new proposed rules for NEPA. And I know it's coming from EPA. But Madam Secretary, you're extraordinarily intelligent. I've watched your career for years. You know as well as I do the impact this is going to have on LNG plants, on pipelines, on fossil fuel infrastructure. It's going to.
So we know that. So in other words, they say one thing. They want to do all these things. But then in the regulations, in the rules, in how everything's going to be carried out, how is the proposals, they handcuff people. And that's exactly what he's saying. If you know that you're going to make regulations and you're going to make it more difficult for the oil companies, the natural gas companies, to basically, go ahead and when they're exploring for areas, where oil is going to be, where natural gas is going to be, and you're going to make it more difficult for them to use the materials needed, to ship these products, to make the pipelines, to make the, the equipment. If you're going to make it in such a way that it's going to cost more, or it's not, or you're going to bind it down effectively, with advocacies and laws, and then you've got the different fringe groups coming out there and others that are basically saying, you know what, no, not through our land, not through our territory, we're not going to let you do it. Then you get the lawyers involved, and now you have litigation and lawsuits and everything. That costs time, that costs money. These companies are going to say, what are we doing here? It's just costing us money. It's hitting our bottom line. We can't afford to continue to do this. This is just absolutely, but this is what the Biden administration wants. They want this chaos. They want it to be where these companies basically say, you know what? It's not worth it for us to go and do this, all right? We're just going to stick to what we already have. And if that means we have to purchase from other places, but we don't explore on our own, or we don't go out and get it on our own, then guess what? That's what we need to do. Anyways, we hope that you enjoyed watching this video as we did as making it. And if it's your first time here, subscribe to the channel, because guess what, folks? You're watching the Dr. Nasir Shaikh Show. And I've been your guest host. My name is Dr. Nasir. Hit that notification bell, like, share, and follow us. I'll leave you with my final thought, which is, when you're right, you're right. And when you're left, you're wrong. We'll see you again next time, folks. Take care and stay safe.